Krishna Sangwadi ki jai, jai jai Sri Radhe Shyam. Lord Premanand. Nama Shrishtam Manamapi Aishachiputram Atra Surupam Rupam Tasakacha Muripurim Maturim Ushtuatim Radha Kundamagirivaram Oh Radhika Madhvasam Prabhu Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Guru Tam Natosmi. Can Deva Madhav Prabhu hear upstairs?
He's
Yes.
cooking. I think if we use this
You can
speaker.
listen in when the
okay.
speaker is on, I think. I'm not really sure.
But it's not on.
Okay. I can ask him actually.
Yeah, I was hearing the bhajas and everything through the speaker yesterday. So
Yeah.
he should, because yeah, we have the mic for him, he'll hear.
Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikai Tadalai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Premabhadyvyacchavi Sundara Tasmai Mahapremarasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Sham Sundar Shikanda Shikar Smarhas Murali Manohara Radhikar Sukamama Kripa Nidhe Supriya Charna King Kurim Kuru Tavaivasmi Na Jivami Tuyabina Jivikaya Devi Tam Namam Chanantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastan Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Guru, Gurudev, Asmatiya Paramaradatam Guru Pada Padma, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtotara Satasri Rupanugacharyavarya, Sila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vancha Kalpaturvista, Upasandu Vyavata, Putitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo.
Gurudev ki jai.
By the causeless mercy of Sri Guranga, this blessed and rare and precious opportunity has come to hear Harikatha. Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Pad, he has said, Siddhanta boliya chitte na karo alas, jahoite Krishna lagi sudrida manas. The meaning is, one should not avoid the philosophical discussion, saying, oh, I just want to love Krishna. I just want to love Krishna. And so, this discussion, this is Siddhanta, this is philosophy, this is metaphysics. What does this have to do with love? So, Siddhanta Biliya Chitina Karo Alas. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is saying, don't say, oh, this is philosophy. I'm not interested in this. I just want to love Krishna. Na karo alas means don't be lazy. Alas means laziness. Don't be lazy. Why? Jahoite Krishna lagi sudhraminas. When we hear Siddhanta, philosophical explanation of Shastra from the lips of Sri Guru, from a pure Vaishnava who has the Divya Anubhuti, divine realization, then our Sudrida Manas, our heart will become Sudrida, very firm. It will become fixed completely on Krishna. This is the problem. You see, love for Krishna is not a material emotion. You cannot love Krishna by trying to put yourself into a state of emotional hypertrophy. Oh, yes, more love, more love. Try. You cannot do it. It is not an emotional state of the mind or intellect or anything. It is a prakrita, transcendental, supernatural. And so, unless the chitta, the heart becomes completely steady, pacified and undisturbed by Vishaya chodiya kabe shuddha hobe mana kabe hama he rabo Sri Vrindavan. Vishaya chodiya kabe shuddha hobe man. When my chitta, my heart is a shuddha, that means nirvikar, not oscillating, not modifying, not in a state of fluctuation, turbulence, then I will have the darshan of Vrindavan Dham. Otherwise not. It's not possible. Therefore, Jahoiti Krishna lagi sudra manas. It's true, we want to build the very tall Rasa Mahal, the palace of Rasa, the beautiful ornamental palace of Rasa. We want to build this. But if you want to build a huge palace, you have to have a deep foundation. If the foundation isn't deep, if the foundation isn't strong, then if you try to construct something, what will happen? It will eventually, some cracks will appear and it will fall down. So, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, he used to say, if you follow only emotion, then you will get demotion. You'll go down. Because the material emotions are actually just psychological turbulence. And so if you mistake this for love for Krishna, then this turbulence is never steady. So you easily become prey to the allurements of sense gratification in the material world. So if you follow emotion, you'll get demotion. So you have to understand what is actual devotion. And then you can get promotion. So Siddhanta Bele Chite Nakaralas Jahoite Krishna Lagi Sudrita Manas. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, when we hear very powerful Harikatha from the lips of Sri Guru, it is so powerful, we begin to wake up and understand we are in this temporary world where everything is in a state of flux. There is nothing solid here. It is just as if you are dropped in the middle of quicksand. There's nothing to hold on to, because everything you touch just gives away. There's no shelter, there's no support anywhere. Anywhere. And when a person realizes that there's no shelter, there's no support, there's no security anywhere in this world, then Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, it's his 150th anniversary, and we want to glorify Prabhupada and his beautiful Katha. Then he said, and then when you realize that, then you will wet your couch with tears. He's quoting from the Psalms. You will weep piteously. Alas, alas. Just as we sang in the song Jai Jai Shri Guru. Duramati agati asate satatamati. Duramati, I have a wicked mind which is always moving towards the external sense objects. Duramati, agati, and I have no refuge anywhere. Satata asatamate, and my consciousness, satata, is continuously going in asat, into temporary things. Naha nahi sukriti lavalesha, I don't have even a slight trace of pious activities. So I am bereft. Sajjana varicha, I am bereft of high class association. So one will weep like this. And then Prabhupada said, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he knew all Vedic Shastras and all religious scriptures of the world and all literature of the world. He said, and then when you weep, then your mind will become like a scorpion girt by fire. Now he's quoting from Lord Byron, but the poet, English poet. Like a scorpion girt by fire. This means that if you surround a scorpion with fire, then what does he do?
Kills himself.
Yeah, he turns his sting on himself and dies. And so, when a person realizes that they have no shelter in this world and they weep and take shelter of Sri Guru, then the mind, the material mind, becomes a scorpion girt by fire. Samsara davanalita loka. This material world is like a blazing forest fire of material existence. And that the mind is like a scorpion girt by fire means that he stings himself and passes away, expires. Means that our subtle body, the mind, intelligence and ego has to die. So we offer it into the fire of Sankirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then what is left? Our pure chitta. Pure chitta. Our soul, do you understand the meaning of a chitta? Yes. Our soul is covered by a gross body, 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air and ether, and the subtle body. The subtle body is the chitta, ahankar, buddhi and manas. These 4 elements. And pran, which is activating them. So, the mind, the intelligence, the ego, they will be dissolved because they are only contaminated transformations of chitta. So when chitta becomes purified, chaito darpanamarjanam, the chitta is purified by chanting, then just as in creation, first chitta comes, and then ahankar, pran, ahankar, buddhi, manas, they come one after another as the chitta degrades by the influence of the gunas. So there's like the reverse engineering of the creation. The elements dissolve back into their origins. And then only inside is the purified chitta. Chaito darpana marjanam. This purified chitta is like a mirror, Mahaprabhu says. And then when we chant the holy name, we can easily attain, by Krishna's mercy, the reflection of his beautiful form in the heart. First his form, and then qualities, then associates, and then your own spiritual form, and services, and Yoga Pit Seva in Vrindavan, and then Astakaliya Leela. Like this, everything, realization unfolds one by one. But we'll have to our mind will have to be like the scorpion girt by fire. So we cannot be attached, we cannot have a tight grip on this personality that we think this is me. Our conventional, empirical ego. The conventional, empirical ego of our identity, our worldly identity. This is not us. This is just a handful of samskars which are activated at the moment. After some time, they'll become deactivated and others will be activated. Even within this life, person changes. You may know someone one day, and then 20 years later, it's like they're another person. Because different impressions are being activated and becoming dormant. Like this. Prakriti in Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Prakriti, Purusho, Prakriti, Stohi. The Purush, that means the Atma, is situated in Prakriti. Bhunte Prakriti Janguna. And he's trying to enjoy the three gunas. Karna Guru Sangosya Sadashat Joni Janmasu. And by the association with the gunas, he takes birth in pious and impious situations. So according to our association, then we get new impressions, and old impressions become dormant, and other impressions from previous lives become manifest again. And in this way, the jiva is moving, sometimes in pious life and sometimes in impious life, in samsara chakra, the endless cycle of birth and death. So, there has to be an ego death. By offering the mind fully into the fire of Nam Sankirtan. In this book of Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur we've published, Gaudiya Darshan, there's a beautiful explanation of hearing. Bhakti has many angas, but all bhakti begins with Sravanam, hearing. But the way that the word Sravanam is used among Vaishnavas, and the way it is used among the common people, general people, in everyday life, is not the same. And so there are different levels of Vaishnavas. The first level, Kanishta Adhikaris or Prakrita Bhaktas, they read books and they discuss bhakti, the subject of bhakti, and they're using words, but they understand the words that they're using in the same conventional way as the general persons, hearing, chanting, remembering. But this is not the true Shastric meaning. It is said, Yasya deve parabhakti yatha deve tatagaro tasyaiti katita hyata prakashante mahatmana. Only to a person who has parabhakti, natural, spontaneous devotion to God, and as they have love for Krishna, they have a same, not less devotion to Gurudev. In fact, it's better to have more love for Gurudev than Krishna. So only to those persons, then Tasyaiti katita hyata prakashante mahatmana, the actual meaning of the scripture becomes illuminated in the heart. Only to those persons. So someone can say, I read this sentence, I read this verse. Yes, I understood it. But Shastra is saying, no. Until we have spontaneous love for Krishna and equal, if not more, for Guru, then we don't understand what is written there. So those are in the first stage of devotion. Those who have faith, those who have some begin their sadhu sangha, they're doing bhajana kriya, practicing, they're trying to go through unaltered vritti and come to steadiness. All of those in those stages cannot understand Shastra. Even the Madhyam Adhikari, when he comes to Nishta, becomes Madhyam Adhikari. Then he knows so many things, but cannot reconcile everything. Only when Ruchi comes and he becomes Uttam Adhikari. Uttam Adhikari in the Pancharatrik Marg, in Archan Marg, he's a Uttam Adhikari. But in Bhagavat Marg, he's just entering into Madhyam Bhagavat. So the levels of Vaishnav, Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari, these are given for Pancharatrik Marg, for the path of Archan, Vaidhi Bhakti. But what Krishna has described about Prakrit Bhakta, Madhyam Bhagavat and Uttam Bhagavat, it's another, they don't correspond. This is, those who are Uttam Adhikaris in Vaidhi Bhakti are practically Kanishtas. Barely, they're just entering into the Madhyam Bhagavat stage, in the Raga Marg, in the path of spontaneous devotion. So, until Ruchi comes, we mentioned this verse yesterday. Swalpa pi ruchi eva syat bhakti tattva vabodhika. Until Ruchi comes, cannot understand bhakti tattva. Then how will we understand? Shravanam, by hearing. But it has to be real hearing. So this is, I just want to discuss this point. What is real hearing? In this world, when we want to learn a subject, we go to some type of educational establishment. And we attend the class and we listen every day. And we learn, we collect some, as we're listening, we collect some information, pieces of information. And gradually we put these pieces of information and we build the structure of our understanding of that subject, our conceptual structure of that subject. So this is the way we learn. Everyone knows. So this method of learning is called Kram Vikasita, Kram Purvak Vikasita Gyan. Kram means a sequence. Purvak. Kram Purvak. It is filled. It consists of a sequence, Vikasita Gyan, of knowledge, which is Vikasita. It gradually develops, it gradually grows by collecting pieces of information. Now the problem is this. Krishna is not like any person or anything that someone in this world has experienced. He is Vadanti Tattva Vidas Tattvam Kyat Jnanam Advayam. He is the Advaya Gyan Tattva. That means the Advaya, non-dual, conscious reality. Advaya Gyan Tattva. He is beyond duality. He is Akhanda, Acheda, Abheda. He's an indivisible reality. So because the reality of Krishna is a divine, non-dual, indivisible reality, he has no parts. And therefore, you cannot learn about Krishna in pieces like that. We don't develop our understanding of Krishna by bits of theoretical knowledge. My Gurudev used to say, theoretical knowledge means no knowledge. If you have a concept, just a concept in your mind, theoretical knowledge is no knowledge. What is knowledge? Realization is knowledge. Because realization means the appearance of the non-dual reality in the consciousness. That is actually knowledge. So actual hearing means when the Shabda Brahma comes from the lips of Sri Guru and pierces the material covering of the sense of hearing. This is called the Karna Bhed Sanskar. Karna Bhed Sanskar. Just like a child at a certain age, usually it's the age when they take their first grains, the first grain ceremony. At the same time as the first grain ceremony, there's the ear-piercing ceremony, Karna Bhed Sanskar. So, this is only symbolic of the process of Diksha. In real Diksha, there is Karna Bhed Sanskar, that means the ear-piercing ceremony, that Shri Guru, by transcendental sound of mantra, pierces the material covering of the sense of hearing. And then that divine sound becomes manifest to the cognition, to the pure cognition of the soul. And that is actual hearing. So hearing and realization takes place simultaneously. Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur has made a very beautiful analysis of the hearing. First of all, he discusses that there are 6 classical systems of philosophy in India. Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Sankhya, Yoga, Yoga Sutras, Purvamimamsa, Uttamamimamsa, that is Vedanta. So there are 6 systems. And the philosophers of each system have a different idea of how we attain knowledge. So, all philosophical discussion, it begins with epistemology. Epistemology. If a discussion does not begin with epistemology, that is, how do we know that something is true? How do we attain knowledge? Then it's really dishonest. It's a deceitful system of discussion. That's why today you see most discussions, they're not actually philosophical discussions, they're ideological discussions. The difference between philosophy and ideology is floating in the air, it has no roots anywhere. Because ideology is a conception of life which has no connection with epistemology. There's no discussion of why our basic assumptions must be true. We all know that they're true, and let's have the conversation. Let's quickly rush out the door and discuss this without even discussing, well, are our, deeply held convictions about the nature of reality even true in the first place? No, they're not. These things are important to know, especially if you're preaching to educated people and in colleges and things like this. You have to know the difference between philosophy and ideology. So, epistemology, we have to start with epistemology. How do we know that something is true? So, when we discuss, we use language. We use words and we hear it and we understand it. So, even before we go into the philosophy and ideology, we're using language. How do we understand what we're saying to each other? So among the philosophers, the subject was bifurcated into 2 main schools. There are also some nuances within them, but 2 main schools. The Spotvad school of the grammarians, the Vaikaranas, such as the Panini, Patanjali, and the Vyakyapadya also. And on the other side, there you have the Varnavad school, the followers of Jaimini Rishi's Purvamimamsa and Kumara Bhatta. And the Vyakyapadya is written by Bhartrihari. So throughout history you have from the ancient days Panini, Patanjali, and Bhartrihari, and then coming more to medieval times, Bhartrihari, and then on the other side, in the ancient times, Jaimini Rishi, and then the competitor of Bhartrihari's interpretation of sound, that is the Kumara Bhatta. So on one side, Spotvad, on the other side, Varnavad. So we don't accept either of these schools. These are not our conclusion. But this is the way that philosophers, we have to understand what is the wrong idea. By contrasting the wrong idea with the correct idea will come into focus. So, the Spotvad school presented this idea. You cannot have a racing mind. You cannot be passionate. You cannot be chugging cappuccino and be stimulated. You have to slow down and consider this. They said that when we hear any word like Agni, we hear each letter one by one. Ni, Agni. And so this sound is coming and it's going into the ear and you hear each syllable one by one. Now the question is, what makes the experience, what causes the vritti in our consciousness that creates the image of fire? Agni means fire. So if I say Agni, you immediately think fire, right? How does that happen? Does it happen by the individual syllables? If you hear A, then A doesn't mean fire. If you hear G, it doesn't mean fire. If you hear N, I, it doesn't mean fire. So the individual syllables by themselves don't tell us what is meant to be conveyed here. And you can say, well, no, all together, from the syllables all together, we have the idea of fire. But the school of the Spotvad school say, but you never hear the syllables all at the same time. Slow down, just slow down. Okay, it's over. And then that sound disappears. Disappears, it's gone. And then go, and then that disappears. And then ni, and then that disappears. So, because on the one hand, the individual syllables don't give you the impression, and the combination of the syllables never happens, they would all have to come out of the mouth at the same time. But we don't have 3 mouths to say got ni at the same time. So how does our consciousness put it all together? And we have this experience of fire. What does that? So these Spotvad schools say that when someone speaks, then each syllable produces, there's something called spot, and this spot is eternal. It eternally exists. It's everywhere. It's the basis of all existence. They think that this spot is the basis of all, and it's everywhere. And when a person speaks, then some aspect of that spot manifests. And as they say the syllables agani, then there's the spot of the varna spot, the spot of the letter, and then the spot gets stronger when you hear the next letter, and stronger when you hear the next letter, and then you have pada spot. And it's like a flash of inspiration in the heart, and it says fire. It illuminates the meaning. So there are 3 stages in this. As the person is speaking, then the sound which is coming, there is some deeper level of sound called spots, which begins to manifest in the consciousness. And that spot illuminates the meaning to you. So there are 3 stages. Now, the Varnavad school says, no, we disagree with that. Why are you saying that there's this transcendental thing called spot? This light of meaning which is everywhere, a subtle form of sound which illuminates the consciousness when you utter the syllables. We don't accept that because 1, it's never been perceived. No one has perceived the spot. People only perceive the meaning which is illuminated by the spot. So, the Varnavad schools say, first of all, no one has perceived it. And if you say that the spot illuminates the meaning in your consciousness, then we say something that you cannot perceive cannot illuminate anything. For example, if you're in a dark room and there's a chair in the room, in the dark you cannot see it. So then when you introduce a candle, now you can see the chair because it's been illuminated by the candle. But if you couldn't see the candle, then you wouldn't see the chair. So if you say there's this imperceptible thing called spot, which gives you the understanding of the meaning of the words, then if it's imperceptible, then it would not be able to illuminate the meaning in your consciousness as well. This is the Varna. Actually, on both sides there are so many arguments. We already said the arguments against Varnavad because the spot say, well, individual syllables don't give you the meaning and they're never combined in time. Only you think they're combined because you're basically in Rajagun and you're not thinking deeply about the nature of sound. So these two schools, they're in competition with each other, they're quarreling with each other. So the Varnavad school says, no, this is what happens. When someone taught you, this is a table. So this sound, table, made a samskar in your heart, in your chitta. And then, next time when someone said table, the syllables, table, then this samskar manifested in your heart and you connected it with your previous experience. Understand? And so, when you hear sound, it's actually a function of like memory. Your buddhi, your memory is working in such a way. For example, if I say a word that you've never heard before, you don't understand the meaning. Right? If I just say something like Motaita Bhav, right? So what's that? Does it mean anything to you? No. But if someone explained it, then the next time someone said Motaita, you hear the syllable and then that samskar will come up. So in Varnavad, they say that by some experience an impression comes, and then when you hear Varna, the syllables, then there is that samskar is awakened. That is the function of memory, and now you connect. Oh yes, this word means this. So, and because of that, the Varnavad school, they say that another argument against Spotvad is that if when someone just says the syllables, then this spot manifests and then illuminates the meaning in the heart of the person, then a person would naturally understand the meaning of a word even if they'd never been taught it. Understand? So that's another argument from the Varnavad school against the Spotvad school. So then the Spotvadis, they make an argument against the Varnavad school. And they say, you've got millions of impressions in your chitta. Then, if someone says a word, how does your intelligence locate which word it is? What's the retrieval system? Right? There has to be a retrieval system. And so we can say, because according to Vedanta, the deep meaning of every word is God. Every word actually is a name for God. That's in Vedanta Sutra. Characharo vyapasrayas tusyat tad vyapadesho bhaktas tad bhava bhavitvat. The direct primary meaning of every word refers to God, primarily. And secondarily, it refers to whatever we conceive of it to mean in our everyday experience. But tadbhava bhavitvat means you'll understand that in the future when your sadhana is mature. So the illustration is Nimai Pandit, our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he came back from Gaya, he'd been initiated, he had the Karna Bhed Sanskar. His ear was pierced by the divine sound. And when he came back to teach in the Sanskrit school, then every word, every letter, every syllable, every grammatical case, every conjugation, he said it means Krishna. He wasn't saying it by doing some clever grammatical trick to make it mean Krishna. He was actually experiencing the nature of all sound. Actually, all sound reveals the truth to a person who is not in Maya. But all sound, even the descriptions of Krishna, are Maya to a person who's in Maya. This is why it is said, Vaishnavopadishtena, don't listen to Harikatha from a person who is not a pure Vaishnava, because it's like milk touched by the lips of a serpent. It's still, it may be Gita, it may be Bhagavatam, but it's poison. Why? You see? Because all sound reveals the truth. For one whose ear has been pierced by the divine mantra of Guru, and for those who have not surrendered and realizing the nature of sound, then all sounds, they have the mic face, an illusory face. So, coming to this point, so on a deeper level, the word spot means Bhagavan, Ishwara. It means Ishwara, Paramatma. Why? Because the Varnavardis are saying, when you hear a word, the word itself does not produce the spot which teaches you the meaning, which illuminates the meaning to you. But rather, you have samskars in your heart from previous experience. When the sound comes, then there's a connection between that memory and the sound. Then you remember what the word is. And then the Spotvardi can say, but there must be a spot which illuminates that sanskar. Right? There has to be a flash of inspiration. Let's say someone taught you a word 20 years ago and you forgot. And today they use the same terminology and you don't know what it means. You have some vague idea or something. Why? Because your memory is not functioning. So what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Savasya chaham vriddhi sanivisto matahak smriti jnanam aponam cha. I am situated in the heart of everyone and I give matasmriti. From me comes memory. So the ability to remember a word that you'd previously learned, where does that come from? Yes, Paramatma. Paramatma. So that retrieval system of the meaning, even if someone goes for Varnavad understanding, but there has to be a spot, that means an illumination coming from somewhere to retrieve the meaning. And so the meaning of spot here means Ishwara Paramatma. The Lord illuminates the meaning, and that's how your memory works. Without the super soul in the heart, our memory doesn't function. And as a person gets older, one can experience that there are things that you don't remember anymore. Because he said, Matasmiti Jnanam upon, I give remembrance, I give knowledge, and also forgetfulness. So Krishna gives memory sometimes in accordance with our karma. That means Paramatma gives memory sometimes in accordance with our karma, and takes it away when it's not our karma to know or understand that anymore. And so you see people get old, they become senile, they get dementia, and everything. He gives and he takes away. Paramatma is doing it. So these are some of the discussions of the nuance of how we understand things. However, though that understanding that we remember according to our sanskar, but with the role of Paramatma in it, that is correct for the general person. But that understanding that you get from your sanskar is not actually the true meaning of sounds. That's not the true meaning of sounds. So, now we'll come to briefly analyze the meaning of sound. When you hear a word, you can take Mukhya Vritti, that is called Abhidha Vritti, the direct meaning. Shishi Gornitai ki jai. You can take the direct meaning of a word. That is the Mukhya Vritti, the primary meaning. We can say also the Abhidha Vritti. Abhidhan is a dictionary. So what's the dictionary meaning of the word? Then there is Lakshan Vritti, the associated meaning. Then Vyanjan Vritti, that is the suggested meaning, the implication. For example, if we say, this is my house. then it's direct. This is my house. Direct meaning we can take. But if you tell someone asks you, where is your house? You say, my house is on the Ganga. Then you don't take the direct meaning. Because you can't build a house on the water in the middle of the Ganges. So when you hear, my house is on the Ganga, then your mind doesn't take the direct dictionary meaning, it takes Lakshana Vritti. That means the unassociated meaning. So you think, my house is on the Ganga has banks, and so he really means to say, my house is on the bank of the Ganga. So we do it naturally. And we speak like this all the time.
It's like second nature, it's not even...
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You know, if someone will say something like, Tehran has declared war on Jerusalem or something. But Tehran is not a person. He can't declare war on anything. It's a place. Right? So what we do, we use places to refer to a person or a group of people or whatever. We do it all the time. So we take associated meanings all the time. Just like if I say to you, oh, raise your hand, raise your hand, raise your hand. Why did you do that? I never said, raise your arm. You should have just gone like this. But because you took the Lakshana Vritti, you raised your arm. Right? You didn't take the meaning of hand. Otherwise, they say, raise your hand, you just go. But you went like this. See? So we do it all the time. And then there is the Vyanjan Vritti, that's the implied meaning. So poetry is like this, just like yesterday. We were singing so many verses spoken by the gopis, and what they really mean to say, they don't say, they say something else, but there are implications in it. That's the Vyanjan Vritti. So especially Kavya, poetry, is filled with Vyanjan Vritti. The Srimad Bhagavatam is a masterpiece of Vyanjan Vritti. And this is why just by reading it, no one can understand it, because the meaning is not directly the words, but it's in the implications of the words, the emotions behind them, the suggestions. So for example, if someone says, oh, I'd like to visit you, how can I get there? And then someone says, oh, my house is on the Ganga. The meaning is, you can go by boat. He doesn't say you can go by boat, but that's what he means. So, just like if a student, he said, oh, Gurudev, he says to his teacher in school, oh teacher, oh, it's becoming late now. But the meaning is, this class is so boring, we don't want to go. Right? Because if the class was so good, they wouldn't say that it's now time to end. This is Vyanjan Vritti, the suggested meaning. So now we understood. Come back to the first one, the Abhidha Vritti, the dictionary meaning. So the dictionary meaning can be of three types. The first one is called Ruddhi Vritti or Ruddhi Vritti. No, I'll explain that afterwards. I'll say Yogiki Vritti first, and then it will be easier for you to understand. So Yogiki Vritti means the meaning which is etymological. It is how is this word, what is the etymological derivation? How is this word derived etymologically? And we understand it in that way. For example, if you say, yesterday, Narasimha Prabhu was Pachak. Pachak. That means the cook. So Pachaka comes from Pach Dhatu, the verbal root Pach, to cook. So from the verbal root Pach, to cook, he is Pachaka. So you understand it means you are the cook. Because this word cook has come from the verb to cook. Pachaka. That's the etymological root. Just like a wolf is a vrika. Vrika means to tear. So who tears you apart with his teeth is a vrika. So this is etymological. That's called Yogiki Vritti. Then you have Ruddhi Vritti. Ruddhi Vritti is the conventional meaning. Conventional meaning, that means when you hear it, you accept this is the meaning, even though the etymology may mean something else. For example, if you make a a pandal in the garden, and there's some raised area where you're going to perform some ceremony or something. This is called a mandap. This is called a mandap. So, mandap, the etymology of mandap is mandam pati. Mandam means ornaments, and pati means one who protects. So mandapa means one who protects the ornaments. No, it does. No one's going to take it. Oh, go outside to the mandap. You never think there's someone outside protecting the ornaments. You think that there's a pandal there for some ceremony to take place. So here, the rudibriti is that you take a conventional meaning. You take the conventional meaning of the word and you disregard the etymology. Then the third type is called yoga rudibriti. Yoga rudibriti means there's a combination of etymology and the conventional meaning. The word rudi means like natural, the raw natural meaning. So now yoga rudibriti is a combination of the etymology and the conventional meaning. For example, pankaj. What does pankaj mean?
Lotus.
Lotus flower. But what does panka and ja mean?
Panka is mud.
Yes.
Born from mud.
Pank means mud and ja means born from mud. But if you go to a swamp, how many things are born from the mud? So many things. There are many things growing there in the mud, not only lotus flowers. So when I say pankaj, why doesn't your mind become filled with all kinds of stuff growing in the swamp? Why? Because conventionally, it's a convention. We tend to always use this word pankaj, and we know that it means there is a consensus about the fact that pankaj doesn't mean everything that grows in a swamp, but pankaj means that which is born from mud. It is the lotus flower, like this. So here, three types of ways we interpret words: just the conventional way, then by etymology, or sometimes by a combination of convention and etymology. Now, the rudibriti, the direct conventional meaning of the words, the natural way in which you accept the meaning of the word, this is also divided into three types. Vidvat rudibriti, vidvad rudibriti. Vidvat means, vritti means the power of the word to convey meaning. In other words, when you hear the sound, it causes a vritti in your mind and you understand what it means. So the rudibriti, which is of the vidvans, learned persons, here does not mean pandits and scholars. Here in vidvat rudibriti, the vidvans means pure devotees who have realization of Sri Krishna, the Advaya Gyan Paratattva. Not just some clever person who knows Sanskrit grammar or anything. It means fully realized persons. So vidvat rudibriti means the power of the word to manifest Advaya Gyan, non-dual awareness. That is awareness. It is not something that we experience in our waking state, in our sleeping state, or in deep sleep. It is the chaturya. It is the fourth state. It is a fourth state of consciousness, Advaya Gyan. So that sound vibration, that meaning of the word, in which the Advaya Gyan, non-dual consciousness, is uncovered completely, that is called the Vidvat rudibriti. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Kirtaniya Sadahari, Kirtan should always go on, he never intended that a sound should be spread here and there which would cover Advaya Gyan. Here, Savana. When Mahaprabhu said Kirtaniya Sadahari, one should continuously always chant the holy name. It was not his intention that the world would be covered but the world would be filled with a vibration that would cover Advaya Gyan. In other words, everyone would hear it and still be in bodily consciousness and still experiencing dualities. When he said Kirtaniya Sadari, it meant this vibration should go everywhere, which is a Shuddhanam, the pure name. And those who are hearing, they should be surrendered. And therefore only surrendered persons who have given up Swatantrata, the sense of independence, and are completely in the refuge of Gurudev, Gurupad Ashray, then that sound can enter their ear and they directly experience the Advaya Gyan Paratattva, the non-dual and conscious reality. That is the meaning of Kirtaniya Sadahari, because it comes after Trinadapi Sunichena, not before. First Trinadapi Sunichena, be more humble than a blade of grass, that is, give up ahankar, give up the Kartritra Habiman, the sense of being the doer. The Swatantra Bhav, independent mentality. Otherwise you cannot do Kirtaniya Sadahari, that is, experience the Advaya Gyan Paratattva continuously in the Shabda Brahma, the transcendental sound. So this is the stage we must come to, and that is actual real hearing. So Vidvat Vriddhi Britti is the meaning of the word as it is directly revealed into the heart of a devotee who is hearing pure transcendental sound from a pure devotee. That is the Vidvat Vriddhi Britti. Now we come to the Sadharan Vriddhi Britti. The Sadharan Vriddhi Britti, Sadharan means ordinary. And so if there's an ordinary person who's educated and understands grammar and nirukti, etymology and so on, when they hear the word, the power of the word that causes one's intellect to do dharan, to concentrate on the meaning of the word as it is conventionally understood throughout society, is called Sadharan Vriddhi Britti. So those who are more sattvic persons, when they speak, they use their language very precisely. They have a particular meaning, and those who are similar to them can understand what they mean. But they are still within this confines of the material plane. They are educated persons materially. So this is also one aspect of Maya. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that Jad Vidya Mayara Parabhav. It is the influence of Maya. Material education is the influence of Maya, and it turns the living entity into an ass, into a donkey. Because he thinks, I am so educated. I am a professor. I have a degree. I have an MA. I have 2 MAs. I have PhD. I can teach others. I am very educated. But what is he educated in? Sadharan Vriddhi Britti. He has never experienced or been touched by the Vidvat Vriddhi Britti of the Advaya Gyan Tattva. And that is why Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur made a school next to the Yoga Pit. It was the Bhaktivinoda Institute. It was a school, and above the door of the school there was this verse. Jada Vidya Mayara Parabhav. Of this poem of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Material knowledge turns you into an ass. It is the influence of the illusory material energy. So every student who went to study in the Bhaktivinoda Thakur Institute would be reminded as they walk through the door. So we have the same poem above the door of Chaitanya Academy in Venice. You've seen it. So, in a Venice temple. So then the next level of Vriddhi Britti is called Agya Vriddhi Britti. Agya Vriddhi Britti, Agya means the ignorant persons. In other words, those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, their consciousness has contracted. Their chitta has contracted. And therefore, when they hear a sound, they understand a contracted meaning of the words that gives rise to the conventions and customs of Rajasic and Tamasic society. So the Rajasic and Tamasic people, they understand each other. The way they speak and everything, they know what they mean when they talk to each other. Whereas someone who's more educated, maybe speaking is the same, but he can't understand this. The way they talk to each other, the slang that they use, the expressions they use. But they definitely cannot understand the educated persons. So you have Vidvadrudibriti, which uncovers the Advaya Gyan. Then you have Sadanrudibriti, which causes the buddhi to do dharana, concentrates on the meaning of words as they are conventionally conceived in worldly dealings. And then the Agyurudibriti, the ignorant, the understanding of ignorant persons whose consciousness is contracted. It's like the Sadanrudibriti, but the spectrum of understanding has been condensed, it's been contracted more, and that gives rise to their customs and their way of life. So these are the levels. So the general person who has not surrendered to Guru, whose ear has not been pierced, the Karna Bhed Sanskar, by transcendental sound, when they speak about Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, when they read the Shastra, they understand it according to Agyurudibriti or Sadanrudibriti. And that is not the understanding of Shastra. And therefore it says, Yasha Devi Parabhakti Yata Devi Tathagaro Tasyaiti Katita Yata Prakashante Mahatmana. The meaning of the Shastra is only apparent to those who are Sharanagat, fully surrendered. And the reason is this, that even if the speaker is realized, and from his heart the Shabda Brahma is coming, transcendental sound, it cannot be captured by a video. I apologize to everyone who's watching at home. It cannot be captured by a video or any kind of recording. It is only live in the vibration directly from the lips of pure devotees. Yetu todiya charanambu jakosha gandam jigranti karna vivarai shutivati nitam. Lord Brahma has said that when your pure devotees speak, then those who are listening, jigranti karna vivarai, they smell the fragrance of your lotus feet carried on the air of the sound. In other words, when a pure realized person is speaking and a surrendered Sadguru is speaking and Satsishya is listening, then the Satsishya, when the sound touches him, he has a spurti of Sri Krishna and he can smell the fragrance of Krishna's lotus feet. So, now what happens is, even if the speaker is a realized devotee, like my Gurudev, like Prabhupada, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's realized, but the listener is not surrendered, then when the Shabda Brahma comes and it's going to the ear, then it becomes intercepted. It becomes intercepted. The transmission is not clear. There's too much interference, too much static there. And so that is called the Mayika Vyavadan, the obstacle made by Maya. So when there is a Mayika Vyavadan due to the absence of Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadexyanti te jnanam jnanas tattvadarshina. It doesn't say that the tattvadarshis, those who see the truth, can give you transcendental knowledge if we are not tadvidhi pranipat. That means in a state of constant prostration. We are psychologically in that mood of continuous prostration to our Guru and Supreme Lord. So that is called Pranipat Vritti. In our consciousness there is only Pranipat Vritti. Tadvidhi Pranipat Pariprashnena. We only have Pariprashna Vritti. That is inquiring. It means being absorbed in sadhan. Sadhan is the inquiry to the absolute truth. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Our chanting, hearing, remembering, service, all of this is our question, inquiry. Kaha mora pranadana muraliva. Where is my pranadana Krishna? So there should be pariprashna vritti and seva vritti, sevaya. So when there is nothing in the consciousness but pranipat vritti, the pariprashna vritti and seva vritti, only then will the sound enter. Otherwise there's Mayika Vyavadan. There is an obstruction of Maya, and then the sound becomes refracted into four types of knowledge. Parichchinna Gyan, Sankirn Gyan, Vikrita Gyan, and Vivartagrasta Gyan. So instead of receiving from Guru the transmission of the direct experience of the non-dual reality, Sri Krishna, the disciple receives Parichchinna Gyan. Parichchinna Gyan means pieces of information. He thought, okay, oh, I stole some data and information, some Harikatha from this Vaishnava, now I'll take it and use it and become very popular. Impossible. You cannot steal, you cannot pick the pocket of Guru. Just like Ravan tried to steal away Sita, but he didn't take Sita. Sita is the goddess of fortune. Did he become fortunate? No, his entire Lanka city was burnt to the ground, and he and all of his associates were all killed. So he didn't take Sita, he took Maya Sita. So in the same way, if you come to a Vaishnava without love, without affection, without surrender, without service, and we try to get knowledge, you will not get knowledge. You will get prachinna, bits of information. And you can go and sell them in a marketplace of fools, because the general fools cannot tell the difference between